Disabled children and young people are much more likely to be bullied than non-disabled young people, and some research suggests twice as much. So one example of this is that young people with learning difficulties are much more vulnerable to manipulation, coercion and false friendships. Another example is that disabled young people often tell us they have fewer friends than non-disabled young people, and this isolation in itself then makes them more vulnerable to bullying. We also know that disabled young people are more likely to experience HBT bullying, and this is why it's so important to understand their views and experiences to get their unique perspective. When we spoke to disabled children and young people about their experiences of HBT bullying, they told us about a number of issues they experienced in schools.
It's like people think you can be disabled or LGBT, but not both.
They felt unable to report HBT bullying, and that when they did, they often felt that they weren't believed or were dismissed by teachers.
They say you don't look or sound gay. Then I talk to someone who is gay and they say you don't look disabled.
They also told us that they couldn't be disabled and LGBT, and that meant they had to come out twice. So people either saw them as a disabled young person or an LGBT young person. And this led many of them to feel like they had to hide part of their identity to different people.
People think disabled people are asexual as it is, so they don't talk to you about any relationships, let alone about being or acknowledging that you are LGBT.
They also told us that teachers often didn't understand the link between disability and being LGBT, and that they often said they were taken out of sex and relationships education when they required other support. And this meant they also didn't learn about healthy relationships or homophobic, biphobic and transphobic bullying.
They say you bring it on yourself because you look or act different. Instead of doing something to stop it, they just said I needed to fit in.
LGBT disabled young people also told us that when they did report bullying, that often they were made to feel like it was their own fault and that they needed to change some aspect of how they behaved or looked or acted as a way of stopping the bullying. So for example, one young person told me that they had been repeatedly told to stop acting so gay, as if the responsibility was on their shoulders to stop bullying, rather than changing the behaviour of the person doing the bullying or wider changes within the school.